incredible ability to heal itself. I'm so glad you're here today because we are talking about uh, um, something that affects almost every single one of us, our vision. Have you ever been told by a doctor that once your eyesight starts to go, that's just it? That you're stuck with glasses or contacts or eventually surgery? For decades, that has been the standard message. And I wanna talk to you today about some of the new research that is out there that talks about, what the differences are today. And honestly, I believe it too. For a long time, doctors have been telling us that, "You're just fixed and you gotta have surgery, you gotta do this or that." So I wanna challenge that idea today with real emerging science that is changing the way researchers and eye health specialists think about vision. So here's a question we're gonna explore today. Can your eyes actually regenerate naturally? I'll tell you right now, the answer is not a simple yes or no, but what science is telling us is far more fascinating than most people realize. We're going to talk about corneal stem cells, retinal repair research, neuroplasticity, and the brain's role in vision, the nutrients your eyes desperately need, the role of light, and yes, even how specific exercises can strengthen the connection between your eyes and your brain. So we've got a lot to cover. So get comfortable, grab your water or maybe your favorite Larson nutrition recipe, and let's get into it. So let's start with mindset shift because think because I think it's foundational, to everything else we're going to talk about today. Most of us were taught to think about the eyes like a camera, right? So light comes in through the lens, it hits the film, or in this case, the retina, and an image is produced. Simple, mechanical, it's fixed. But modern researchers are increasingly rejecting that model. Instead, they're viewing vision as a dynamic living system, one that involves not just the eyes themselves, but the brain, the nervous system, and your overall physical health. So think about that for a moment. Vision is not just what happens in your eyeballs, it's a full body process. So when light enters your eye, the retina captures the light and converts it into electrical signals. And those signals travel through the optic nerve all the way to the visual cortex at the back of your eye, where they are interpreted and assembled into the image you perceive. And that's an incredibly complex process. And every step of that process is influenced by the health of your body as a whole. And this is why researchers are now asking new questions. Questions like, can we support the regenerative processes already happening in the eye? Can we train the brain to process visual signals more efficiently? Can nutrition protect and even support eye tissue at the cellular level? The answer, based on the science we'll discuss today, is a resounding possible yes. Now, I want to be clear. We are not talking about throwing away your glasses tomorrow. We're talking about understanding a system that has more flexibility and healing capacity than previously believed, and exploring what that means for how we support our eyes for the long term. So let's dig in. I can tell you that, like, I have in my genetic code, I have problems with my retina. And it's so weird to learn that the genetics of the retina also has to do with my scoliosis. I'm like, how are they connected? I mean, this is just kind of crazy. So, but I have had in my left eye, I've had my retina bleed. I've had my retina, like I got something from in the Midwest. It's very popular, but it's a sticular oh, something, but it's a fungus or a I forget what it's called, but it gets in the eye, and later in life, it produces fluids that go into the eye, and it can block your vision. So, and this is all in genetics. So this is really an important podcast personally that I want to share with all of you because some of you might also have this. So let's start with the part of the eye that is most well documented regenerative capacity, and that's the cornea. The cornea is that clear dome-shaped surface at the very front of your eye. It serves as the eye's outermost protective barrier, and it plays a critical role in focusing light before it even reaches the lens or retina. And most people don't think much about the cornea unless they've had an injury or an infection, and they're maybe considering LASIK surgery. But it is a remarkable piece of biological engineering. So here's what makes it so special. The cornea is continuously maintained and repaired by a population of specialized cells called limbal stem cells. These cells live in a specific region at the edge of the cornea called the limbbus. And that's the border between the cornea and the white of your eye. And their job is to act as a constant source of fresh corneal cells. They are dividing and replacing older, worn out cells all the time. Think of it like a conveyor belt, right? Like new cells are born at the limbus, migrate across the corneal surface, and replace cells that have been shed or damaged. And this ongoing process is what allows the cornea to heal from minor scratches and abrasions relatively quickly. It's also why if you've ever scratched your eye or gone to the doctor, they may have told you it would like heal in its on its own within a day or two, because for minor injuries, that's often true. This is real ongoing regeneration. But what happens when the limbal stem cells themselves are damaged or destroyed? This can happen due to severe chemical burns, certain diseases, radiation therapy, or other traumas. So, when the limbal stem cell population is compromised, the cornea loses its ability to maintain itself. Maybe you get some clouding, some scarring, maybe some vision loss can follow. And this is why scientists and ophthalmologists have invested significant research into something called limbal stem cell therapy. This is a medical procedure already in use in advanced ophthalmology clinics around the world, where healthy limbal stem cells are transplanted from a donor or from a patient's own healthy eye onto the damaged cornea. This is amazing. And the transplanted cells then begin to regenerate the corneal surface. And the results in many cases have been genuinely remarkable, with patients recovering functional vision that would have otherwise been permanently lost. Now, this does not mean that you can regrow your cornea at home. No, but what it does mean is that the biological machinery for corneal regeneration already exists in your body. Supporting that machinery through proper nutrition, avoiding unnecessary eye trauma, and reducing oxidative stress is a real and meaningful thing you can do. And we'll talk about what that looks like nutritionally in just a bit. So, before we keep going, I want to take a quick moment to talk about something close to my heart. And that's the work that's going on at Larson Nutrition, where we believe that the body has an incredible capacity to support itself when it's given the right tools. Our products are formulated with real science, clean ingredients, and a deep respect for what the body actually needs to function at its best. And whether you're looking to support your metabolic health, your immune system, your energy levels, or yes, even your eye health, we want to be a part of your daily wellness routine. You can explore our full line of nutritional recipes at larsonnutrition.com. That's LARSON nutrition.com. We're continually updating our offerings of recipes and healthy blogs. And I think you'll find something that speaks to exactly where you are in your health journey. There's a whole search function on there. Search for something that you have, whether it's PCOS or heart disease or fatty liver disease or whatever it might be. And there is something there for you. So let's get back to the science. Let's talk about the retina. If the cornea is the regenerative star of the eye, the retina is the more complicated story. The retina lines the inside back wall of your eye. It's a thin layer of tissue, only about as thick as a piece of plastic wrap. and yet it contains over 120 million photoreceptor cells. That's amazing. These cells, called rods and cones, are what actually detect light and color. Rods handle low light, black and white vision, cones handle color and fine detail. And at the center of the retina is a tiny but critical area called the macula, especially the fovea at its center, which is responsible for that sharp central vision you use for reading, recognizing faces, and seeing fine detail. And so when the macula degenerates, as it does in age-related macular degeneration or AMD, this sharp central vision is what's lost. Now, here's where things get both sobering and exciting. So, unlike the cornea, the retina has very limited natural regenerative capacity in humans. And when retina cells, and particularly the photoreceptors, are lost, the body does not automatically replace them the way it replaces skin cells or even corneal cells. This is why conditions like AMD, adult uh, macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, and retinitis pigmentosa can lead to progressive and often permanent vision loss. So it's important to get your eyes checked on a regular basis. And this is significant, but the scientific community is not giving up on the retina, not by a long shot. Researchers around the world are actively investigating retinal stem cells and regenerative therapies. Some of the most promising areas include the Muller-Gilla programming. Muller-Gilla are a type of support cell in the retina. In fish, specifically zebrafish, Muller glia have a remarkable ability. When the retina is damaged, they can reprogram themselves into progenitor cells and generate new photoreceptors. In humans, this doesn't happen naturally, but scientists are studying the genetic and molecular signals that make it happen in fish, hoping that one day active a similar pathway in human retinas. So let's talk about stem cell transplantation. Clinical trials are underway using induced pluripotent stem cells or iPSCs to create retinal pigment epithelium cells that can be transplanted into damaged retinas. Early results have shown that transplanted cells can survive and, in some cases, partially restore vision in patients with conditions like dry AMD and Stargardt disease. Now, gene therapy for certain inherited retinal diseases, like I have, gene therapy approaches are being developed to correct the genetic defects that cause photoreceptor death. One such therapy, Luxturna, has already been FDA approved for a specific form of inherited retinal dystrophy. I always have problems with this word, dystrophy, representing a genuine breakthrough in this field. Now, neuroprotective strategies, rather than replacing lost cells, some researchers are focused on protecting the cells that remain. And this includes investigating nutrients, antioxidants, and pharmaceutical compounds that may slow or halt the progression of retinal degeneration. So, what's the takeaway here? The retina's regenerative capacity is limited, but science is actively working to change that. And in the meantime, supporting the health of existing retina tissue through nutrition, lifestyle, and light management is not just hopeful thinking, it's supported by growing body of evidence. Here's something that blows my mind every time I think about it. Vision is more a brain process than an eye process. Let me say that again. What you see, the rich, detailed, three-dimensional world that appears in front of you right now, is not a direct transmission from your eyes. It is a construction, an interpretation built by your brain. The eyes collect raw data. The brain turns that raw data into what we experience as sight. So, about 30% of your brain's cortex is involved in visual processing in some way. And that's more than any other sense. Vision's not a sidebar for the brain, it is a major operation. Now, why does this matter for our conversation about eye regeneration? Because the brain has a property called neuroplasticity, the ability to reorganize, rewire, and strengthen neural connections in response to experience, training, and stimulation. Now, neuroplasticity is how stroke patients can sometimes regain lost speech or motor function. It's how musicians develop incredible sensory and motor coordination. It's how children learn to read and how adults learn new languages. And it turns out neuroplasticity also applies to vision. Research into vision therapy, which is a structured program of visual exercises designed to improve how the eyes and brain work together, has shown that many aspects of visual function can be improved through targeted training. This includes eye tracking, the ability to smoothly follow a target. Maybe you put it out and you just follow your finger, or maybe you put it in an H, go across, right? You've got to be able to follow. It's moving a target. So eye teaming, it's a binocular vision on how well the two eyes coordinate to create a single unified image. Focus flexibility is the speed and ease with which the eyes shift focus between near and far. So that's kind of like you're looking here at your eye and then you're looking out at the distance. I'm looking out at the forest or a house in the distance, or then I'm looking back at my finger and then I'm looking back at the distance. This is how quickly your eyes can adjust to that. And then visual processing speed, how quickly the brain can interpret and respond to visual information. Vision therapy is used by behavior optometrists and is particularly well studied in children with conditions like convergence insufficiency, where the eyes struggle to work together for near tasks like reading. Studies have shown that vision therapy can produce significant lasting improvements, but neuroplasticity based approaches are increasingly being studied in adults as well, including for conditions like amblyopia, which is lazy eye, which was once thought to be treatable only in early childhood. But recent research has challenged that assumption, showing that with the right kind of visual training and stimulation, even adults can experience improvements in visual acuity and function. This is awesome. I'm so excited about this. There's also fascinating research into something called perceptual learning. The idea that by training the visual system with specific stimuli and exercises, people can improve their ability to detect fine visual details. Studies have shown improvements in conditions ranging from myopia to age related vision decline. And the brain, it seems, remains plastic, more capable of challenge than once believed. And that plasticity can be harnessed in service of better vision. Now, a quick break to mention our friends at Larson Botanicals. If you're interested in the intersection of plant based compounds and health, and after today's episode, I hope you're starting to think about the role of antioxidants, anti inflammatory botanicals, and natural compounds in supporting tissue health, including eye health. Larson Botanicals is a resource you need to know about. We're passionate about bringing you botanical solutions that are rooted in tradition and backed by modern science. From adaptogenic herbs to plant-derived antioxidants, our formulations are designed to complement a healthy forward lifestyle. Visit us at larsonbotanicals.com. That's LARSON botanicals.com, and explore what nature has to offer when it comes to supporting your body's own healing systems. I don't know if you can heal here. One of my dogs is outside the door. Woo! All right. Let's talk about what you're actually putting on your plate because nutrition and eye health are deeply, deeply connected. I said at the beginning that vision is a whole body process, and nowhere is that more evident than when we look at the nutritional requirements of the eye. The retina in the back of the eye, in particular, is one of the most metabolically active tissues in the entire human body. So, once ounce for ounce, it has one of the highest rates of oxygen and nutrient consumption of any tissue. It is working incredibly hard all day long to convert light into signals your brain can use. And that metabolic intensity means the retina is also highly vulnerable to oxidative stress, the cellular damage caused by free radicals, and protecting the eye from the oxidative damage is one of the most important things you can do nutritionally. Let's go through the key nutrients. Lutein and zeaxanthin, that's Zeaxanthin. These two carotenoids are sometimes called the eye's internal sunglasses. They accumulate specifically in the macula and the lens of the eye, and they serve a critical function, filtering out harmful high energy blue light and neutralizing free radicals before they can damage photoreceptors. Multiple large scale studies, including the landmark AREDS 2 trial, that's age related eye disease study 2, conducted by the National Eye Institute, found that supplementation with lutein and zeaxanthin was associated with a significant reduction in the risk of progressive to advanced age-related macular degeneration. I think that's just amazing. Get your supplementation of these supplements. Foods rich in lutein and zeaxanthin include kale, spinach, Swiss chard, collard greens, egg yolks, and corn. Dark leaf and corn, like, you gotta be careful about corn because genetically modified corn is sprayed with all kinds of pesticides and glyphosate, and so you would just wanna make sure that you're getting, a corn that is not genetically modified to where they need to, they don't have to spray it with all the kind of chemicals that you're looking for, that you're not looking for, I should say. So dark leafy greens are your best friends here. Now, omega-3 fatty acids has really helped support my retina. And the retina has the highest concentration of omega-3 fatty acid, DHA, of any tissue in the body. DHA, or docosahexaenoic acid, say that 10 times fast, is a structural component of the photoreceptor membranes. Without adequate DHA, those membranes can become compromised. Research also suggests that omega 3s have anti inflammatory properties that may help protect against dry eye disease, a condition affecting hundreds of millions of people globally, and may slow the progression of AMD. Now, I can tell you that I've been taking omega 3s for years and I still have dry eye and I can feel it right now. So I use these Evisia eye drops. It came from an eye doctor friend of mine. She recommended it and it has hyaluronic acid in it. And I just put one drop into each eye and it really helps my vision. So your best sources of fatty acid are wild salmon, sardines, mackerel, and anchovies. Now I take a Zenzino omega 3 or I take another from Swanson. So Swanson is the other brand that I take. Either one is really good. So plant-based sources, algae-derived DHA supplements are the most direct route. And vitamin A is essential for producing rhodo- rhodopsin, rhodopsin, the light-sensitive pigment in the rod photoreceptors that allows you to see in low light conditions. Vitamin A deficiency is actually one of the leading causes of preventable blindness worldwide. That's amazing. Just take vitamin A. It can help prevent blindness worldwide. But it's not just night vision. Vitamin A also supports the health of the conjuct, conjunctiva, the membrane lining the eyelids and covering the white of the eye, and plays a role in tear production. Isn't that amazing? Sources: liver, egg yolks, dairy, and in the form of beta carotene in carrots, sweet potatoes, and orange and yellow vegetables. The body converts beta carotene to vitamin A as needed. Now, vitamin C is a powerful antioxidant found in high concentrations in the aqueous humor of the eye, the fluid that fills the front chamber of your eye. It helps protect eye tissues from UV damaged oxidative damage. Research has associated higher vitamin C intake with reduced risk of cataracts, the clouding of the lens that is one of the leading causes of vision impairment globally. Sources include bell peppers, especially red and yellow, citrus fruits, kiwi, broccoli, and strawberries. Vitamin E is a fat soluble antioxidant that works alongside vitamin C to protect cell membranes, including those of photoreceptors from oxidative damage. The AREDS2 that I talked about earlier study also included vitamin E in a supplement formulation. Sources of vitamin E include almonds, sunflower seeds, hazelnuts, wheat germ oil, and spinach. Zinc is found in high concentrations in the retina and choroid, the vascular layer beneath the retina. It plays an essential role in the enzyme systems that protect the eye from oxidative damage, and it is involved in the metabolism of vitamin A in the retina. The AREDS and AREDS2 studies both found that zinc supplementation in combination with other antioxidants was associated with reduced risk of AMD progression. Sources include oysters, the richest dietary source, beef, pumpkin seeds, lentils, and chickpeas. The takeaway in nutrition: a diet rich in colorful vegetables, healthy fats, quality proteins, and diverse whole foods is your first line of nutritional defense for your eyes. And for many people, a targeted supplement strategy, especially with lutein, zeaxanthin, DHA, or a great omega 3 fish oil that includes DHA, and zinc, can provide meaningful additional support. This is something we're deeply invested in larsonnutrition.com. We're committed to helping you access these critical nutrients in clean, bioavailable forms from the recipes that we have online. So let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention in conversations about eye health. It's light itself. Obviously, light is what the eyes were designed to detect, but the type of light, the timing of light, and the amount of light your eyes are exposed to have profound effects on both short term visual function and long term eye health. So, exposure to natural daylight, especially in the morning, is essential for regulating the circadian rhythm. And their circadian rhythm is your body's internal 24-hour clock, and it governs an enormous range of physiological processes from hormone release to immune function to cellular repair. The eyes are actually the primary gateway through which your body receives information about the time of day. Specialized cells in the retina called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, or IPGRCs for short, detect ambient light and send signals directly to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain, which is the master circadian pacemaker. When you get adequate natural light exposure during the day, your circadian system is properly entrained. So when you don't get that natural light, when you spend most of your time indoors under artificial lights, that clock can drift with downstream effects on everything from sleep quality to metabolic health. In eye health specifically, research is beginning to suggest that circadian disruption may contribute to increased susceptibility to conditions like glaucoma and macular degeneration. The retina itself has its own local circadian clock, and disruption of that clock appears to impair retinal function. So let's talk about blue light and screen time. We're all like looking at our phones and looking at, social media and checking out on our working on our computers while there's blue light. Make sure that you turn your screens to black with white lettering. That is the best way that you can do is to have a dark background that'll help you with that blue light and screen time. On the flip side, we have the modern epidemic of artificial blue light exposure, particularly from screens. Blue light is not inherently dangerous, but sunlight contains far more blue light than any screen. But the timing matters enormously. Blue light exposure in the evening suppresses melatonin production and delays circadian signaling, disrupting sleep and cellular repair cycles. And prolonged close up screen use is strongly associated with the global epidemic of myopia nearsightedness that has exploded in prevalence over the past several decades. Right. And all of a sudden, cell phones came out, and now we're all glued to our cell phones. I mean, you're on public transportation or you're waiting in a doctor's office, everybody is on their phone. Everybody. Nobody's like looking around, nobody's reading a magazine, I mean, it's just incredible how much, or they're looking at a TV, right? Everybody's looking at the blue lights. Research published in major ophthalmology journals has consistently shown that children and adolescents who spend more time outdoors have significantly lower rates of myopia, not because of any particular activity, but because of exposure to the higher light intensities of natural daylight, which appear to stimulate the release of retinal dopamine, a neurotransmitter that regulates eye growth and appears to protect against myopia development. Now, there's emerging research on light therapy. Perhaps most intriguingly, there is emerging research into whether specific wavelengths of light, particularly in the far red and near infrared spectrum, may actually support mitochondrial energy production in retinal cells. And this research, largely pioneered by Professor Glenn Jeffrey at University College London, has shown that brief exposure to 670 nanometer red light can increase ATP production in aging retinal cells, potentially counteracting the age related decline in mitochondrial function that is thought to contribute to conditions like AMD. While this research is still in relatively early stages, it represents a genuinely exciting frontier in non invasive approaches to supporting retinal health. I want to make sure you know about one more way we can support your journey. At larsonbotanicals.com, you're always exploring the intersection of botanical compounds and the body's natural systems, including the body's antioxidant and anti inflammatory pathways that are so important for eye health. From bilberry extract, which has long traditional history of supporting visual function, to plant-derived carotenoids and beyond. We're committed to bringing you the best of what nature has to offer in formulations you can trust. Check out larsonbotanicals.com. That's LARSON botanicals.com and discover what plant-based wellness can look like for you. All right, let's talk about something practical, something you can actually do starting today. Eye exercises and visual training. Woohoo, let's get to it. When visual training can What visual training can do is improve the functional efficiency of your visual system. It can strengthen the neuromuscular coordination between your eyes and your brain. It improves how quickly and accurately your brain processes and visual information and reduce the strain associated with demanding visual tasks. Like looking far deep, looking here at my camera, looking at the wall over there. Let me walk you through some of the key areas for like eye tracking. Eye tracking refers to the ability to smoothly and accurately follow a moving target, which I talked about earlier. This is critical for reading, for sports performance, and for activities that require sustained visual attention, right? So, I mean, you can just practice this with your finger. Just practice it with moving your hand back and forth. A simple tracking exercise, like hold a pen or your finger at arm's length and slowly move it back and forth or in an H pattern, like you're creating an H, right? So up and down, and you go across, and you go up and down, you go across, you go up and down. Being able to track that pattern, tracing the horizontal bar and then the vertical strokes, follow it with your eyes only, not moving your head, like going like this, right? You're not moving your head, your eyes are moving. This engages the ec- extraocular muscles that control eye movement and supports more precise, coordinated tracking. Now, let's talk about eye teaming, which is like a binocular vision. Eye teaming is about how well your two eyes work together to create a single unified three-dimensional image. Problems with eye teaming, called binocular vision dysfunction, can cause headaches, eye strain, difficulty reading, and even problems with balance and coordination. So, one classic exercise for eye teaming is the Brock string. It's a string with little colored beads at specific intervals held from the nose outward. By focusing on each bead in turn, you can train your eyes to converge and diverge accurately. Now, let's talk about focus flexibility or accommodative flexibility. It refers to how quickly your eyes can shift focus between near and far targets. And this is what I was talking about before, right? I'm looking out the forest. I look further out and I can see some houses in the distance. I look further out and I see some more forest. And then I look close up. So this is the function that tends to decline with age, leading to a need for reading glasses, but it can be exercised and supported. A simple exercise is hold a small object like a business card with fine print at about 6 inches from your nose. Focus on the print until it's clear. Then shift your gaze to an object across the room and bring it into focus. Alternate back and forth 10 to 15 times. This gives you ciliary muscles. I'm sorry, this gives your ciliary muscles, the muscles that control your lens shape, a genuine workout. So here I'm looking at the smallest little thing on a business card, and then I'm looking out. And then I'm looking here and I'm focusing on that. Now I can read it. Now I'm looking out. So that's basically what you're doing. Now, what's the 20-20-20 rule? For anyone who spends significant time at the screen, working 8 hours a day at the screen, which is most of us, the 20-20-20 rule is a simple and well supported habit. Every 20 minutes, look at something at least 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. So 20 feet away, I'm looking at, I don't know, it's kind of a wall to the garage or something, right? So you look at that for, it's, 20 seconds. You just stare at that for 20 seconds. This allows your ciliary muscles to relax from the sustained near focus required by screen work and, and reduces the cumulative strain that can lead to digital eye strain and headaches. So, vision therapy as a formal discipline goes well beyond these simple exercises. Behavioral optomet- opt- optometrists design individualized programs using sophisticated equipment and protocols. But these simple exercises are a meaningful starting point that anyone can incorporate into their daily routine. So, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I want to bring it all together for you. The question we started with was, can eyes regenerate naturally? And the honest, nuanced answer is, it depends on the tissue. And the theory is more hopeful than most people have been led to believe. The cornea, yes. Thanks to limbal stem cells, it has genuine ongoing regenerative capacity. And science is even leveraging this in clinical settings to restore vision to people with severe corneal damage. The retina, more limited but far from hopeless. Research into retinal stem cells, gene therapy, neuroprotective strategies, and mitochondrial support is advancing rapidly. We may be closer than ever to genuine regenerative therapies for conditions like macular degeneration. And the brain is remarkably plastic. The visual system is trainable. The brain can recognize and strengthen its visual processing pathways in responses to targeted stimulation and exercise. And the body as a whole, your nutritional status, your light environment, your sleep, your circulatory health, your inflammatory load, all of these influence the health and function of your visual system in ways that are real and measurable. Now, the future of vision care is not going to look like one size fits all prescriptions and purely passive interventions. It's going to look like a systems level understanding of the eye, the brain, and the body, and a proactive approach to supporting all of those systems. That's the vision, pun fully intended, that drives the work we do at Larson Nutrition and LarsonBotanicals.com. So, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. I genuinely love diving into topics like this because I believe that when people have real information, not hype, not fear, not real grounded science, but real, I'm sorry, not, but real grounded science, they make better decisions for their health. If you found value in today's episode, I would love it if you would share it with someone who's been dealing with eye health challenges. You never know when the right information at the right time can make a real difference. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to explore the nutritional tools and botanical support we've talked about today, please visit us at larsnutrition.com for our full line of recipes and nutritional support, and larsonbotanicals.com for our plant-based wellness formulations. Both sites are regularly updated with new products and resources, so bookmark them and check back often. And until next time, take care of your body, take care of your eyes, and remember, the body you have is more capable of healing and adapting than you've ever been told. I'll see you in the next episode.